And we're off! Welcome to the 61st episode of the Brave News channel. I am your host, Shali, and we're here with the spooky, risky sailor. That was way more adorable than spooky, but thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Yes, so this is the show that brings you all of the latest information for the amazing application that is Brave Frontier Global, available to you guys on iOS, Android, Windows, and Amazon devices. Of course, this time around we're bringing you the highlights for the month of October, what you guys can expect for, you know, the spooky season of the year, which is my favorite time of the year because I love Halloween and just all sorts of like creepy crawly stuff. So I'm very excited to get into today's news, and I'll just go ahead and pass things off to Risky. Risky, can you get us started, please?
All right. So before we jump into the Halloween-related stuff, we actually have the usual content that we are releasing. For example, Battles of Brave Frontier 2. This time around, we will have the Fighting Nun as a special dungeon, and you are going to have a chance to fight the Fighting Nun Teresa. I think this unit has been released in the previous month, and we have explained it in the previous in the I think 2 BNCs before, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think it's 2 by now. Yeah.
Right, and by fighting this dungeon, you'll also be able to obtain the materials to craft the Iron Justice Sphere. I suppose the Iron Justice is the 2 guns behind.
That is a really good question. I mean, I suppose that's what it is. When I think of Iron Justice, I think of something else. Like a hammer, like something really heavily made out of iron. But I mean, it has to be a reference to her guns because she's delivering justice with, you know, bullets and and gunpowder. So yeah, I think it's probably a reference to her rifles. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I guess this is the first time for the Battles of Brave Frontier 2 to actually bring this so-called the Wild West theme or something. Or Western theme?
So obviously we have been running with this storyline from Brave Frontier 2 about this kind of Western tale where there's, you know, a gang of bandits slash thieves slash renegades against the good guys who are fighting over these things known as relics. And so far for the battles of Brave Frontier 2, we have had many characters, many boss battles against like the main regular characters of the Brave Frontier 2 storyline, so summoners and the enemies of you know, particular summoners. But this is the first time I think that we do have a boss fight against a character from like a side story within the Brave Frontier 2 universe. So that's pretty new and exciting. And also, I could also be incorrect, but I do believe this is the first Brave Frontier 2 battle also that offers materials for crafting a sphere. This is something that we see from, you know, a lot of our other content that's more like seasonal. You know, you just kind of spam the one dungeon to get materials to craft a sphere, or, you know, if you're playing raid to craft spheres there. But for Brave Frontier 2, I think this is the first time we're seeing this kind of mechanics. So I would hope that this sphere is pretty, you know, powerful and OP, because I'm sure, you know, this fight is not going to be the easiest of fights. So it's going to be really interesting to find out what the stats and effects on the sphere is going to be, for sure.
Right. I mean, usually the hard content is not meant to be farmed. So if it's going to be a hard or challenging content, I guess this Iron Justice Sphere will be very worth it to collect.
Yeah, I hope so. Sure hope so.
Right. All right. So aside the content, we also have a new unit, which I will pass to Shali on the next slide.
All right, so going on to the next slide here, we have Carlos. And Carlos is part of this storyline, you know, that is happening in the West with the cowboys and the bandits and stuff. And you will recall that last time I was explaining that in the midst of, you know, Mariano's gang coming into town and trying to, you know, steal the relics from this one girl, mysterious girl who we don't have a name for yet. In order to trap the girl, he took a hostage from the local tribe that protects the sanctuary in that place that they are trying to ambush the girl. And Carlos is the hostage that gets taken from the local tribe. And Carlos is a total badass because even though he's very young, he's just a boy, he decides that now that he has been taken hostage, it is his perfect chance to destroy the gang of bandits, Mariano's bandits, by blowing himself up. So he is so dedicated to the cause and to protecting his family and his tribe and, you know, those he cares about, that he, you know, he doesn't see any other way but to sacrificing his own life to protect those that he cares about. Now, luckily, you know, there's a happy ending because the girl with the gun relic comes in and she prevents Carlos from doing this. So Carlos is safe and sound. He makes it out totally okay. But his actions at least serve as a diversion. You know, they take away attention from where it needs to be, and the bandits get kind of confused, and this allows the girl with the gun relic to, you know, in the end come out victorious, and you know, the good guys win and the end of things. So he's a very interesting character. I obviously think that, you know, the inspiration behind his character lies heavily in you know, Mexican culture, Latin culture, and I honestly love his design. I love all of the colors that are in his palette. These are colors that I feel like I grew up around in a lot. Colors that I saw everywhere, that I identify heavily with. Even though I'm Puerto Rican, I'm not Mexican, but I do get asked all the time if I'm Mexican. So it's kind of like a little segue here. But he's just a really cool character. We don't see a lot of children also in Brave Frontier. We see them here and there, but they're obviously not mainly featured as the main fighters of the game. So that's also refreshing and just, you know, fun to see. And then a child with such a strong character that is willing to do something so insane for, you know, his homeland is crazy to me. But what do you think about Carlos Risky?
Well, the design is really lively, I would say, like explosive. The design is explosive, literally, because of all the because of all the dynamites and what do you call it, like crackers, firecrackers?
I think they're firecrackers, fireworks. Yeah, I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like what you mentioned earlier. It's quite rare to see young kids or like young boy or young girl design in Brave Frontier. Then it's giving me the very Mexican vibe, and when you say that it's actually very close to the original one, I would like, you know, I think Elim really did a good job on initially creating this unit because of the reference is very true to the original culture.
Yeah, I mean, the reference is obviously very strongly Mexican, and I think this is not something that we're used to seeing in any, you know, RPG games. Like the references to Hispanic culture, unfortunately, are almost non-existent most of the time. I find them very lacking. As a Hispanic Latin person myself, I'm always kind of looking like, oh, there's a brown person. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Even just that makes me happy. Obviously, in the world of RPG games, we see a lot of reference to samurai and things that come from Japanese culture, because most of these games are made in Japan, so they're trying to represent their own culture. But obviously, a lot of the games also lie heavily in fantasy, and when we think a lot of fantasy, we think like medieval stuff, and medieval stuff comes from Europe, like England or you know, France, and so we see a lot of references to that. But yeah, this is right now at this point in time, I cannot think of any other reference that I have in my mind of like a character resembling any type of Hispanic culture, or, you know, just even symbolism here and there. It's not coming to mind right now, which is very unfortunate, but hopefully I'm just forgetting and there are other references out there. So, you know, if you guys happen to know of any other references to Hispanic culture in the games that you play, please do leave comments, you know, for this video, because I'm very interested to see where you're seeing them. That way I can maybe play the game and, you know, enjoy a little bit of representation for our people there too. But anyway, that's enough of that. Thank you, Carlos, for bringing up this conversation. Why don't I pass things back to you, Rizky?
All right, so the next piece of content in the next slide, we can see the Vortex Arena Season 6, the Electrical Showdown preview, to be run for the month of October. We will have the previous season's reward, which is Viola's Pride, to be added in the event bazaar, and there will be a alternate art for the feral commissar Cassia. So as you can see on the right, I was like, oh, wow, that alternate art is really something.
It's so
yeah, what do you
adorable.
think about it? Yeah, it's adorable.
It's relatable to the max.
It is literally like, usually Brave Frontier characters is drawn such that it looks like from certain perspective. I think this is probably the first time they are drawn like a wallpaper kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just a little bit different.
It's very homey, right?
Yeah,
like,
very
I
homey,
think
yes.
we're seeing into a scene of Cassia's like home life, which is I think very rare because we always see Brave Frontier characters out in the open. You know, they're enjoying nature or doing something outside. Especially when we get the more detailed alternate illustrations, we see them a lot. Like they're at the beach or they're having a picnic or something. Whereas this for Cassia is her literally just staying at home having a chill night, probably
Yes.
with Netflix or something. We don't know. But she's just relaxing with her tiger kitty and
Tiger Kitty.
in her home gear, cat ears hoodie.
Yeah.
She's got the whole thing going on. So I really like that. It puts me at ease. It makes me feel like, oh, yeah, I want to do that. I want to stay at home and just relax all day with a huge tiger. That sounds cool.
Well, in any case, I think this is really worth to pursue reward.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. So that's it for the Vortex Arena. And we also have another piece of content, which is Altered Destiny unit. Let me pass it to you, Shali, on this.
Yes. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. And we have more Altered Destiny summon units here. This time we have Ascha, and just as a reminder to everybody, if you're not seeing these characters or units in the regular content that you're playing, that's because you can find them by playing Grand Quest episodes, global episodes. Made by our team, so make sure that you're playing Grand Quest so that you can get more exposure to the lore and to what is happening with the storyline. But here we have the summon unit Ascha, and Ascha is basically the final form of a creature that came from the stars. So Ascha is through and through a total alien.
Yes.
Ascha's like vices, such as hunger and things of this nature, are kind of insatiable. You could say that they are as vast and expanse as the universe itself, and only driven by just alien instincts, And alien doesn't necessarily always mean just from space. Alien is something that comes outside what we know. So this is something beyond our comprehension, beyond our understanding, and of course, the same logic applies to the people of El Gaia and Grand Gaia. They cannot hope to understand what Ascha is or what its goals are because it's just not meant for humans to understand. But one thing that you might want to pay extra attention to is that Ascha seems like it's exploding out of a shell. If you look at the very bottom of Ascha's artwork, you can see that there's a shell with some very, very interesting colors attached to the shell, and then Ascha's just kind of bursting out of that. So where is it bursting from? What shell was this that Ascha was encased in? I'm gonna leave that to you guys to figure out. Again, if you've been keeping up with your lore, and especially this storyline, you might be able to figure it out for yourself. But just keep a very keen eye on the colors that are surrounding Ascha there.
Right.
So, what do you think of this design, Risky?
I think it's really like mysterious, like alien, or like there's a core in its head, and really interested to see how the story follow. Like, what is this creature actually, and then how can it appear in the Grand Quest? And yeah, I can't wait to see.
I mean, when a cosmic force makes an appearance, you know that something is going down. Like, there's going to be a huge something, probably a battle, I'm going to assume, that goes down. Because, I mean, the cosmic force is going to want to do one of two things. Either save the world from something catastrophic, or be the catastrophe that destroys the world.
Right.
Usually nobody, no cosmic entities come to the world to just like chill and relax and not do anything. They show up for a reason, and it's going to be one of the two. So keep your eyes peeled for this storyline. It's going to get good. Hopefully you guys like it.
Yep. All right, so the next piece of content we have here is the Halloween event. I'll say Halloween because, I mean, like, it's pretty obvious there. There is the dungeon is called Survivor Games. So you guys can see the little bit of summary of how the dungeon will be here. Like, it's basically a deadly game of survival, and there will be two main characters here, Saya and Ydra, and just a little bit hint from the development team that it's kind of like a survival horror with a twist. How that will be unveiled in Brave Frontier, it's for you guys to look forward to. Basically, I think this is going to be a different way of telling the story of the characters through different kind of options in the game. So I think it's going to be very exciting to see how the dungeon will be designed as well.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
Right, and you can also get Saya as a reward unit. By the way, Saya is the one in the left. Which we will go into more detail later on.
Right.
And of course, as per usual, you will have the tokens that you can collect. This time around, it will be Halloween tokens that you can get an alternate art for Yin, and the exclusive event I'll give Imprisoned Mind in the Halloween event bazaar. Yeah.
Imprisoned Mind. That sounds so creepy.
Yes, I mean, like, this two theme is quite unusual as well. Usually for the Halloween, you will have the ghost or I don't know, like supernatural being, but this time around it's kind of like a chainsaw and jacket.
It's more usually we go for the horror kind of like spooky theme with the ghost and the kind of undead things, but I think this year we're kind of going for a gore type of approach because it's Survivor Games, and the rule of Survivor Games usually is whoever doesn't die is the one who makes it out, right? So I think that's more towards like the gore. I don't know how much gore we're gonna get in Brave Frontier. I'm sure that a lot of the focus is probably going to be on the rules of the game. If there are any, like, what is it that these two girls have to do in order to make it out in one piece. It's definitely going to be very interesting to read this particular story this Halloween season. I'm very excited.
Right. All right, so that's about it for the content, and I'll pass the 2 unit to Shelly.
All right, so let's go on to the next slide and take a look at Ydra. And Ydra is a mysterious girl who was found alone. She was totally alone in the 13th Correctional Facility where the Survivor Games are happening. And her arms are totally locked in a straight arm jacket, which is already creepy and unsettling as it is, because usually only mental patients who are, extremely hard to handle, for lack of a better words, wear these to kind of keep them from harming themselves or harming other people. But yet her legs are totally free to move about, and they're not just, good old legs for kicking, but they have like electric lasers basically attached to each one of them. And she's very proficient at using them to beat the crap out of other people. So I can only imagine if she can dish out these beatings with the electrical like gadgets that are attached to her legs, how much more damage could she actually deal if her hands were untied and she just went berserk all over the place? It's a creepy thought to have. It makes me nervous to think about.
That's overrated.
But probably the most the spookiest thing, I guess, about Ydra is the fact that she is not fazed by these survival games at all. So she doesn't seem nervous. She doesn't seem like she's unhappy. She doesn't seem like she's scared about the situation that she's in. And feeling like that in the face of death is not normal, or it shouldn't be, at least. Like any sane person would be like losing their mind, you know, like, oh my god, how do I get out of this? How do I survive? Ydra doesn't have that kind of mentality, so it's going to be very interesting to see her approach to this
games.
whole thing, to the survival game, and how her particular personality clashes with that of Saya, who's the next unit on the next slide here. Now, Saya is kind of like your rough, tomboyish girl who doesn't play by anybody's rules. You know, she's had a lot of bad encounters with authority before, and she basically only ever does whatever she sees is good for her. She doesn't listen to other people or follow what they have to say because she has her own way of doing things. But, you know, in the survival game, she's not alone. She does run into Ydra, and she's very suspicious of everyone and everyone around her. And Ydra is no exception, except that maybe this time around, Saya doesn't really have a choice of whether or not she can trust the people that she's around, because this time it's all about survival, and Saya will do, you know, basically anything that it takes to make it out alive. So it's going to be very interesting to watch the, you know, two characters interact with each other and how they form a bond or relationship if they you know, do form any. But Saya is the Halloween reward unit, so make sure that you don't miss out. Obviously, reward units are very, very useful because they're totally free as long as you're doing, you know, the content and meeting all the requirements. You know, in whether it's the login bonus, and for this time around, please do make sure to like check the in-game news so you can get more details on the login bonus attached to this particular event, or, you know, whether you can beat them through like the dungeons that are attached to the event and then obtain them as units. They are always very useful and always cool to have, you know, in your collection, because they just always have such amazing concepts of art and as units as well. So obviously, Halloween being my favorite holiday, I'm very excited to see how the story turns out, what these units can do. I love that we have basically a mechanical chainsaw as her weapon of choice. Again, very gore-oriented type of horror. So I'm very intrigued, I have to say. I don't know what to expect from this, but I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see Ydra's animation, I guess, because it was mentioned that she can't move her hand, but she can only move her legs. So you gotta see how she's going to attack with that.
Exactly, because she can only move her legs. But apparently her legs move so well and cause so much damage that she doesn't even need her hands. So if she could move her hands, how much more damage could she actually do? It's really scary to think about. So, you know, just adding more scary elements to the event and to the units themselves should be cool. Right. What do you think of Saya, Rizky?
I think Saya's design is really interesting as well. The amount of detail being put to like her jacket, you know, the inside of her jacket, and that pouch thing on her waist, the waist pouch, and I don't know for how could she manage to hold the chainsaw like that, because it's kind of dangerous.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's, you know, it's not her first time taking the chainsaw out for a spin, a literal spin, if you know what I mean. But she looks like a total badass. Like, she looks like she's not afraid of anything. That hair color is giving me all the life. I absolutely love that two-tone, like purplish pink that is going on. I'm all for it. She's probably one of like the coolest designs that I have seen in our recent units. We always have incredible designs, very beautiful designs, but not necessarily like cool, badass people like all the time. And Saya just looks like she will go around and kick anybody in the butt or other places until she, gets her stuff done. So. Again, very much looking forward to this event and to these units. Hope you guys are too. And please stick around for the Summoner's Corner coming up next. And we're back for the Summoner's Corner, where you guys ask questions and Risky has the answers for you. Our first question today is from Dapokemon. And he or she asked, with the Noxa and Ryan DBB surprisingly being released, should I expect more Zodiac DBBs based on lore such as Kahiki and Oligan, or Ryan and Kelsa, or Noxa and Kirk? What can we expect, Risky?
Well, I guess the combination itself, we will keep it a secret, but the team said that there will be some more updates for the Zodiac related to DBB, so just stay tuned for the updates.
Cool, awesome. I always love DBBs that are related by lore. I know that a long time ago we focused more heavily on the DBBs that were best for the balance of the game, but I want the connection to make sense. You know?
True,
yes. If the two characters have a relationship with each other, then that should show through DBB. I think that's more. I don't know, it just makes more sense to me. But obviously the balance of the game is very important too, but I'm sure we can find other ways to hopefully keep that in check. But thank you, Dapokemon, for your question. Moving on to question number 2 here by Rare Gold 365. Are there any plans to ever update the Brave Summon, because the last update was probably over a year ago, and basically, people have been sitting on stuff that they can't really trade in, or they don't want to like spend on the current pool of units that is available. Can we expect any updates to the Brave Summon?
Yeah, I think the team has heard about the comment, and they are currently considering it. So hopefully it will be updated pretty soon.
Okay. All right. So hopefully, pretty soon, sooner rather than later. But at least, the problem has been brought up, the team is aware, and hopefully the change can happen, in a good amount of time. All right, well, that's it for our episode today, you guys. Again, 2020 is proving to be quite the test of will and strength, so I hope you guys are hanging in there. I hope that you're all healthy, as well as your friends and family. This year, Halloween being my favorite holiday, I don't know that I would recommend going out and trick-or-treating with your kids, or, spending too much time outside visiting multiple families or households is probably not the best move right now. But hopefully, playing some Halloween-themed content on your favorite game, Brave Frontier, might lift your spooky spirits up a little bit and give you some comfort and solace that way. I know that that's how it's going to have to be for me. And hopefully, things just get better and better as we reach the end of the year. We just gotta stay positive and keep looking up and supporting each other, of course.
That's true.
Risky,
Thank you, Shelly.
No problem. I'm just trying to keep the morale up for our summoners out there who might be feeling a little bit down. But yeah, anything to add, Risky, before we sign off here today?
Well, just stay home and stay safe, I guess.
Yes, if at all possible. There's some people who obviously, unfortunately, cannot stay at home all the time because their jobs require them to be physically in the front lines. So thank you for all that you do. If you're out there providing services for people who need it, just please be really careful and do take good care of yourself. And we will see you guys on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.